So I am Jeff Pierce. I lead a mobile computing research group at IBM's Almaden Research Center. We've been studying smartphone use for the last couple of years, and we've been looking at sort of different patterns of behavior, looking for opportunities to improve the user experience. And one of the things we've been looking at is email use in particular. One of the things we've seen is that a lot of mobile email clients are designed assuming that mobile email use is just like desktop email use. But if you look at the way people actually use mobile email, the usage patterns are actually somewhat different. In particular, when people are using email on a mobile device, they're in a very focused activity. They're looking for what's new, what can I delete right away, what's important enough I have to handle it now that it's worth typing in a message with my thumbs, and everything else they defer until they reach a laptop or desktop. But given the fact that most mobile email clients are not designed to support that particular pattern of behavior, they're really assuming that you're spending a lot of time in your email, you're opening up messages, you're reading them, you're responding to them, you're forwarding them. Mobile email clients really don't support the pattern of behavior of what's new, what can I delete, what do I have to handle now, and help me defer everything else. And so you see coping patterns. You see people that will spend most of the time just in the inbox, because just from the sender, subject, 2 lines to the body, people are surprisingly good at figuring out, what's this message about? Do I have to handle it? Can I delete it? And as a result, they don't open up a lot of messages. They can just glance at the inbox, figure out what they're going to do with it, figure out if they need to handle it. But because they don't open messages, the unread flag doesn't go away. And most mobile email clients don't differentiate between what's new and what's unread. And so when you glance at your phone and you see, oh, I have 10 unread messages, if you want to figure out if you have any new messages, and you actually want to look further to see what they are, you have to do the math yourself. You have to remember, okay, how many were there unread the last time I looked? Oh, okay, I've got 2 new. Maybe I should glance at them now. You also see a coping behavior the other way, which is people will open up messages and they'll read them, and they'll decide, oh, I'm going to reply to this once I reach my desktop later on. But because there's no way of capturing that intended action, people will do things like reflag it as unread so that it captures their attention once they reach their desktop or laptop. And so we've been looking at, if you were going to rethink mobile email, how could you do it differently to support that pattern of triage, helping people figure out what's new, what they need to handle, but also looking at how do you help people support that transition from deferring a message on their mobile device to then resuming that activity once they reach their desktop or laptop. Okay? So we've built a prototype mobile email client to help us explore some of these issues. And we're doing a couple different things here. First of all, instead of just showing you the inbox when you start, we're actually breaking your mail down into triaged and untriaged. Where triaged is you've already told us how you're going to handle it, and then untriaged is you haven't given us that information yet. So one of the things we can do here, for example, is once you've told us you're going to defer a message until you reach your desktop or laptop, you don't have to keep looking at it and remaking that same decision over and over again. We're also breaking out separately the number of new messages, the dark blue, unread, and then read messages. So we can support that pattern of behavior where you glance at your inbox, figure there's something that you're going to handle now, and then the next time you fire up your email client, we can tell you exactly how many messages are new from the last time you looked. Once you actually look at your untriaged email, we're also applying a blue background as an additional visual cue to really help you zero in on what messages are new, to help you figure out, where should I pay attention first, what's the thing that I probably most care about looking at. We're then using a blue circle to indicate unread status if you do want to look for unread messages. We also saw when looking at mobile email use that when people were figuring out which messages were important, one of the things they wanted to know was who else got this message. So if you get a request for some information, it actually matters a lot to the message's priority if it's just to you versus, your whole team got it. So we use green circles. A filled green circle is just to you. A half-filled circle is you and a small number of people. An empty circle is a large number of people, and then no circle at all is an indication that you're not addressed by a name or you're BCC'd. So additional visual cues to help people figure out, what should I pay attention to, what's important. Those are some changes we made to help people better triage their messages. We're also looking at the second part. Once you've decided you're going to defer handling a particular message until you reach some other device, how do we help people capture the decisions they've already made about, oh, I have to reply to this person, I have to schedule a meeting, I want to make sure I print this out, I have to visit this website. And so we're using a cloud service behind the scenes to help capture those intended actions so that people can access that same information once they reach that other device. So in particular, when you're looking at messages in your untriaged view, we allow people to pull up a translucent overlay on top of their messages. So they can quickly assign that a message is something they can do next, something that is deferred, waiting for someone or something, or something that's a reference. So it's not a task in and of itself, but it's information that's useful for some other task. We also allow people to assign actions. So you can assign that you need to reply, you need to call someone, you need to schedule a meeting. There's a variety of actions you can assign to those messages. Once you're done specifying what actions you intend to take on those messages, you can hit a triage button, and then we'll do a couple of things behind the scenes. First, we'll move those messages from the untriaged view to the triage view. So the next time you look at your untriaged mail, you don't have to look at them again. We also, behind the scenes, create tasks that correspond to those messages. So we take the message subject and use that as the short description of the task. We take the body of the message and we use that as the full detailed description of the task. And then we synchronize that information with the cloud behind the scenes. So we're using a service called Lotus Activities to capture that information. So you can access it from a web browser if you want to. But also, we have a plugin for a mail client on your desktop or laptop. So once you come into work, you can access that information. So a pattern of behavior we often see is people will pull out their mobile phone in the morning before they go off to work, and they'll quickly triage their mail. What can I delete? What don't I need? What do I have to handle now? They can capture the intended task for the deferred messages, and then once they reach their desktop or laptop at work, they can jump right in. They have a set of captured tasks around those messages. They can get started right away. They don't have to rescan those messages and remake those same decisions. So the view in the desktop client, you can pull up those tasks. You can access and edit the details. You can also double-click on the mail icon, and it'll help you jump back to the original message again. We also provide access to those same tasks on the mobile device. So some tasks like making a call are actually more easily performed on the phone. So we don't just look at supporting transitioning those captured activities from the mobile device to the desktop or laptop. We also look at providing access to them on the mobile device itself. There's a video that actually shows what this interaction looks like. You can actually see what it might look like in practice to triage messages, to capture those activities, to access them later on the desktop device. So that's just sort of a quick glimpse of some of the work we're doing into looking at supporting mobile usage practices based on observation of real use. So one of the things we've seen is that mobile use does differ from desktop email use, and it's a real opportunity to rethink not just the mobile experience itself, but also how that mobile experience fits into the desktop and laptop experience. And we've been looking at creating some prototypes around this notion of supporting triage and the capturing of intended actions. Thank you very much for your time.